Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome you all to this extraordinary meeting of the Council. Have we any apologies?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I've received apologies from Councillor Arnott, Councillor Bauer, Councillor Sanders, Councillor Underhill, Councillor Webb, Councillor Pam Hughes, Councillor Cherrington, Councillor Keith Davis and Councillor Patton.
Are there any more apologies for absence? Okay then. Declarations of interest. Can I ask the Chief Executive to read any declarations he has received?
Madam Mayor, I've not received any declarations of interest in advance of this meeting.
Does any member have any other declarations they need to declare? No? Right. Honorary Alderman. Council is invited to consider the nomination to the office of Honorary Alderman of the Borough of Sandwell. Can I invite Councillor Ealing to present the report, please?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. There are two nominations to be received by the full Council this evening. The one for the Honorary Alderman, which would be for Councillor Sidhu. Can I invite Councillor John Edwards to make the nomination, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There'll be a lot to say about the former Councillor Sidhu when we meet to consider the matter in a couple of months' time and go through the formal process. But just for tonight, I just want to draw members' attention to the fact that Councillor Gertrude Sidhu, Sid, as he was known popularly to his friends, served for 32 years in Greece Green and Ling, tremendous amount of time, and I was happy to share all those 32 years with him. He retired on ill health, and we were all very sorry to see him go. In a former life, Sid was a school teacher, in fact, in Greece Green and Ling, at Riders Green Primary School. And years later, when we were going around canvassing, he was always quite pleasantly surprised when he knocked on the door and somebody opened the door and called him Sir. And he was a teacher of that person. That's when he was a teacher at Riders Green School. He then went on to another life with Sandwell Community Relations Council, as it was back then, and served as their Chief Executive Officer. But while he was doing that role, he mixed that with a bit of street life as well, and he was usually seen on demonstrations opposing what was then the National Front, which then turned into BNP, and so on and so forth. So he had a long and varied life in the public sector. So when we do meet again in a couple of months, Mr. Mayor, I'll talk at greater length about Councillor Sidhu, the former Councillor Sidhu, but for tonight I simply want to recommend him to Council for the honour of being an Alderman of Sandwell. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Can I ask the Chief Executive to carry out a name vote, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll, as usual, announce member's name, and if you could say for, if you're for the nomination, against or abstain accordingly. Councillor Akhtar. Thank you. Councillor Ali. Councillor Alcock. Councillor Allen. Thank you. Councillor Ashman. Councillor Ashman. Sorry, could you put your microphone on? I can't hear you. Thank you.
Sorry, I voted for the previous person. I thought you said Ashman rather than...
Oh, I do apologise.
Yeah.
Okay. I said Councillor Ashman. Previously, Councillor Allen, you voted for. Councillor Alcock. So, Councillor Ashman, are you voting for?
I am indeed, yes.
Thank you. Councillor Carmichael. Councillor Chidley. Thank you. Councillor Costigan. Councillor Maria Crompton. Councillor Sue Crompton. Thank you. Councillor Dr. Trevor Crompton. Thank you. Councillor Sharon Davis. Councillor Yvonne Davis. Councillor Yvonne Davis here. Okay, I'll record as absent. Thank you. Councillor Dalu. Thank you. Councillor Downing. Thank you. Councillor Eaves. Councillor Edis.
For.
Councillor Edwards. Thank you. Councillor Ealing. Councillor Gavin. Thank you. Councillor Elizabeth Giles. Councillor Elaine Giles. Councillor Luke Giles. Councillor Colt. Councillor Hackett. Councillor Hadley. Thank you. Councillor Hartwell. Thank you. Councillor Heatherton. Councillor Linda Horton. Thank you. Councillor Roger Horton. Councillor Hozell. David Hozell, sorry. Thank you. Councillor Shirley Hozell. Thank you. Councillor Peter Hughes. Thank you. Councillor M. Hussain. Councillor Y. Hussain. M.Y. Hussain, I do apologise. Thank you. Councillor Dr. Yarron. Absent. Thank you. Councillor Jarvis. Councillor Ian Jones. Thank you. Councillor Owen Jones. Councillor Stephen Jones. Councillor Katoon. Thank you. Councillor Lewis. Councillor Lloyd. Councillor Melia. Councillor Millard. Councillor Moore. Councillor Padder. Councillor Phillips. Councillor Piper. Councillor Priest. Councillor Barbara Price. Thank you. Councillor Bob Price. Councillor Rollins. Thank you. Councillor Ralph. Thank you. Councillor Shackleton. Councillor Shaheen. Councillor Singh. Thank you. Councillor Tagger. Thank you. Councillor Taylor. Councillor Trunter. Thank you. Councillor Troe. Thank you. Councillor White. Councillor Worsey. Thank you very much indeed. I'm sorry, I do apologise. I had recorded you as a 4, but thank you for confirming. Yeah. Madam Mayor, that concludes the named vote, and the vote was unanimous. Thank you very much.
Next we move on to Honorary Freeman. Council is invited to consider the nomination to the office of Honorary Freeman of the Borough. Can I call on Councillor Ealing again to present the report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I invite Councillor Bill Gavin to move that Mr David Manners be conferred with the title of Honorary Freeman of the Borough, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Leader. I would like to propose Mr Manners. I've known Mr Manners personally for some years, but in my role as business ambassador, I got to know a lot more about Mr Manners, and as a business, an employer, and as a very generous person. He was born and bred, I believe, in Bearwood, and he was a dry cleaner, but in his spare time liked to repair cars, particular Jaguar cars. And so to get the parts he had to buy packs of 10 or 12, and so then he thought he would sell the other 10 or 12 on in the Express and Star or the local ads, and within 3 years he has now it's a £12 million a year turnover, employs 60 people. He's a very generous employer. He's very old-fashioned in his ways. He's an entrepreneur. He's extremely generous. A lot of his generosity goes under the radar. His own motto is he tries to do a good deed every day. And if it gets found out, it doesn't really count. I can mention lots of local charities, the Women's Aid, Buds, Santa in the Woods, Worley. He pays for the sleigh. He's a very generous man. They're very generous to employers. He's the old-fashioned style. They still get the Christmas box, which is turkey, pork, feeds the family of 4 for the whole Christmas break. His company's recently won the Midlands Award for apprenticeships, but he doesn't believe in paying young men the minimum wage. He's never paid the minimum wage. So he brings them in the evening, the ones that are old enough, and he pays them time and a half of the normal rate, which by the end of the week an apprentice can take home £200 or £300. I just was very impressed with him, his staff and his family, and I just think he's an upstanding member of I'm proud. But the most important thing for me is that he buys British wherever possible. If he's retained his manufacturing side of it, he started it and retains it because if he has to buy it in, then he'll make it, so then he no longer has to. and 50% of his stuff, sometimes up to 70%, is for exports. So, yeah, I would say an amazing asset, and I'm proud to know him. Thank you very much.
Can I ask the Chief Exec to carry out a named vote, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Same as the first vote, if you could say for if you're for the resolution. Councillor Akhtar. Thank you. Councillor Ali. Councillor Alcock. Councillor Allen. Thank you. Councillor Ashman. Thank you. Councillor Carmichael. Councillor Chidley. Councillor Costigan. Councillor Maria Crompton. Councillor Sue Crompton. Councillor Dr. Trevor Crompton. Thank you. Councillor Sharon Davis. Thank you. Councillor Dalu. Councillor Downing. Councillor Eaves. Councillor Edis.
For.
Councillor Edwards. Councillor Ealing. Councillor Gavin. Councillor Elizabeth Giles. Councillor Elaine Giles. Councillor Luke Giles. Councillor Galt. Councillor Hackett. Councillor Hadley. Councillor Hartwell. Councillor Heatherton. Councillor Linda Horton. Councillor Roger Horton. Councillor David Hosell. Thank you. Councillor Shirley Hosell. Thank you. Councillor Peter Hughes. Councillor M. Hussain. Thank you. Councillor M.Y. Hussain. Thank you. Councillor Jarvis. Councillor Ian Jones. Councillor Olwyn Jones. Councillor Stephen Jones. Councillor Katoon. Thank you. Councillor Lewis. Councillor Lloyd. Councillor Melia. Councillor Millard. Councillor Moore. Councillor Padder. Councillor Phillips. Councillor Piper. Councillor Priest. Councillor Barbara Price. Councillor Bob Price. Thank you. Councillor Rollins. Thank you. Councillor Ralph. Councillor Shackleton. Councillor Shaheen. Thank you. Councillor Singh. Councillor Tagger. Councillor Taylor. Councillor Tranter. Thank you. Councillor Troe. Councillor White. Councillor Worsey. Thank you very much. And Madam Mayor, once again, unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I close this extraordinary meeting of the Council.